Alrighty, welcome back to another edition of PA High School Football Report. Yeah, report. Jeez,
it's one of those mornings.
It's one of those mornings.
Yeah.
We'll get into it in a minute. We're sponsored by OSS Health.
Yeah, Megan, don't fix that. So
yeah, don't edit that, Merlin.
Yeah.
Jeez, what did I say? Repot?
Yeah,
what is that?
Repot.
Yeah, it works. Live from the belly of the beast, PennLive HQ, surrounded by all this expensive equipment. You know they don't let us in here without we have to get a key to get in here.
We have the security clearance as well.
Yeah, it's just lunacy.
Yeah.
As if I would take one of these. I don't even know how to disconnect one of these.
I mean, I think if you gave Epp the soundboard there, he might light himself on fire.
I could probably play Axel F on it, but that's it. Remember that? That's how you learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dan Sosnick alongside Eric Epler. Obviously, we are from Penn Live, and we talk football nonstop. It's football for us.
Mm-hmm.
We sprinkle in some other sports too, of course.
Mm-hmm.
High school golf season is coming to a close. We got about another week.
That always stresses me out. You look at the golf stuff and it's over.
Literally, the golf starts. The first match was August 7th.
Yeah.
And here we are, mid-September, and the season's almost damn over.
Yeah.
Mid-Penn Championship's coming up on the 25th. Anyway, if you want to watch, it's at Range End on the 25th.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome. Everybody's more than welcome to come out, watch kids, clap for them. Mm-hmm. No coaching.
No coaching.
You don't want any tips from me anyway.
Yep.
You hit it 280, that's great, but you don't know where the hell it's going. Yeah. Drove in today, Dan, to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
Did a little 48-hour power session / work session from the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Got a good chance to get in some college football, and I know you had a chance to take in the annual backyard brawl. I wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, I had
being a Pitt grad, proud Pitt grad.
Yeah.
Just lay it online. Give us your assessment of the backyard brawl. I set the over/under. Whether West Virginia won or lost, you'll tell us. But I always set the under/over for the amount of burning couches in Morgantown at 13.5.
Well, I think York High alum Jaheim White, who was out for the game, I think he with a knee injury, tweeted after the game a picture of a burning couch. So
there you go.
I think that kind of says how the game. I mean, it was a game that I don't want to get too wrapped up in it, but it felt like Pitt was maybe twice the team West Virginia was, but it also, when your quarterback doesn't hit open receivers and you throw picks in the red zone and you settle for 3 field goals inside the 10-yard line or whatever, and you punt the ball when you're up 3 and your defense is clearly gassed on 4th and 2 in the opposing territory. There were so many plays that just like they're just plays that basically tell this team's not where you need to be to kind of get to that next level of football, which is where Pitt's been for every year outside of Kenny Pickett's 6th year in college football. So, I mean, I will say, though, it is nice to, have a game where you kind of feel like that, though, because Pitt's kind of that maroon stepchild in the ACC where they don't really have any sort of, rivals kind of in the area. They just announced they're going to renew the rivalry again, not for a little bit, but I think an 8-year renewal starting in 2029. So if Pitt can't play Penn State, as much as the games like that make me angry, it's great to have my alma mater have what I think is one of the best rivalries in college football. I don't think people kind of think of it that way anymore, but I think if you go by pure hatred between the two fan bases, it is right up there. I don't know if I'll ever go to a game in Morgantown wearing Pitt stuff because I've heard.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No, I've heard that but that's how you want college football rivalries. So, pretty depressing outcome, but looking forward to 2029.
Well, special surprise for you, Dan. In 5 minutes, we're going to have Coach Narduzzi join us, and you can give him your breakdown on everything. Everything.
I don't think he's going to want that.
On everything you did wrong.
He still follows me on Twitter, so
that's good. He's a good guy. Yeah. I like.
And local angle Sean Lee starting again. He had
doing very well.
He had a very good game. He's a real good tackler for a freshman corner, which is something you don't usually see from them. So
yeah, I think we pretty much guaranteed that he was going to be a pretty solid college player, and very quickly, and he's proven that absolutely. Like I said, not feeling well at all today, Dan.
Yeah, got your Tums.
On the draw, like I said, once you enter the world of 5-0,
oh my God,
there's certain things you should not eat.
Yeah,
because it comes back to haunt you. Mm-hmm. So I can't tell you. When you're at the beach, you eat weird things at the beach. There's the taffy monster. You're on the
taffy
boardwalk.
Taffy is not good for taffy. Sits in your stomach for 8.
Yeah, I think it was like, remember the old myth: if you swallow your chewing gum, it stays in your belly for 7 years.
I think that's actually true with taffy.
It could be true with taffy. Yep. I'm not quite sure.
We're not doctors, so.
I had a little piece of funnel cake, just a little end. I don't know what funnel cake is or what it's made out of.
A lot of dough.
Some kind of batter. Yeah. They fry it and then put some white stuff on it.
Yeah. Powdered sugar.
Sugar. That's it. Powdered sugar. But you're always supposed to sift your powdered sugar. So maybe they didn't sift it. Maybe there's something, I don't know. But not feeling well at all today. But again, we're getting down to it. We got your assessment of the backyard brawl. We're gonna go over a couple questions here before we get into. Yeah, it's kind of a grab bag. We just came up with it like 19 seconds ago on because we've been seeing some of these we'll call them lopsided final scores.
Yeah.
And the question we have, and again, this is not, even though things from the NFL trickle down to college football, things from college football eventually trickle down. You've seen all the schemes that trickle down from the pros. How many high school offenses or pro-style offenses now? We used to be, back in the leather helmet days when I played, you would, 9 teams out of 10 were either running the veer or the wing tee or maybe, split wing.
Yeah.
Something like that. Some kind of pedestrian offense.
Burns the clock.
Right, where you just sort of manage the clock. That was the whole thing. You win the time of possession, you win the football game. That was that. This has, today's football and high school level is not like that at all. No. But we've seen these lopsided games, and the question is, when do you pull back? If you're a head coach, when do you pull back? And we're not accusing anybody of running up the score, but we do have some examples. We saw a York High 91-0 game against Northeastern recently. Twin Valley, second week in a row, I think they scored 60. They shut out Elko 60-0. Hannah had a big offensive day against West Perry, 55-7, in a game that you would normally think would be, I don't want to say a tight struggle, but it would be at least competitive, for a stretch.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a different type of animal offense that Susquehanna Township's running. We talked about Torrin Evans and all the weapons around him. Hempfield just blanked McCaskey 56-0. So I don't think there's a cut and dry right answer, but to me it always feels like if that's my squad, and once we hit a running clock, which would be as soon as the second half starts, if you're up 35 or more, my starters are not playing.
Yeah,
that would be me. I understand a lot of different sides of this, and in a society, too, where parents are more vocal than ever, I understand the need to play kids who practice hard all week. That's a great argument. I don't buy it. But what's your take on when to sort of pull back?
So I think my York High opinion, that's the one that kind of brought up this topic to me, because it's just such a startling number to see 91-0. I think Evan Whedon, who was there at the game for us, he told me that there were some fans chanting, like, put 100 on him. And that to me, I'm not a, soft guy. I don't, not too worried about stuff like that. But to me, that's where it's starting to get to the point where it's we're kind of, that's where you're kind of, and you don't want to blame fans for the, fan chants for
what's these are fans.
Yeah.
These are not,
But you are still kind of egging it on a little bit when you're just putting point after point with a running clock. I don't want to say, I'm not saying kneel the ball, but I know they were still passing at the end of the game. And I get it. I think you made the valid point too. That a lot of times this is trying to get kids who are never going to see the field for the rest of the year probably a chance to score a touchdown in high school and get a chance to go out there and have a big play or something like that to put on their film early or something like that. But there is a balance, right? And I just think there are ways to go about it, and I think when I was watching that Hannah West Perry game and I was covering that, I thought they handled it about as well as you could. They took Torrin Evans out in the third quarter, put in Jasani Brown at quarterback, a lot of short passes to let him kind of get sort of get a little bit of a rhythm,
right.
Run the ball a lot. One of their only scores in the second half was on a fumble recovery, which is I think that's fair game. But when I think the entire point of a running clock is to avoid these type of scores, and when it to me, and again I wasn't at that game, I wasn't watching every play-by-play, I was kind of just following along. To me, it just sometimes feels like when you get to that point, you are actively trying to do it to a certain degree because of how hard it is to do so with a running clock. It's unless the other team is just flat out giving up, and which is possible. I don't know, and because to me I think it kind of dampers football for a whole group of kids and a whole when you're part of that type of. I covered that 82-3 Chambersburg loss to Harrisburg. I was at that game, and I can tell you for a fact that Harrisburg was not necessarily running up the score there. They had taken Micah Parsons out of that game. They were running the ball a lot, and Chambers just couldn't get a stop. But it still is kind of just tough to see. And there's no good answer though, because there are good good counters. I know Steel High's been at points in the past where they've basically said we don't have a backup offensive line really. If we put backup offensive linemen in, we'd risk our players getting hurt. And
because their backup offensive linemen are 150-pound wide receivers.
Exactly. So there are obviously there are external factors that deal with this, but it is something that I think is always an interesting discussion, because that's one of those things. We post these stories, we see the comments about them, and these are discussions people are having every day. It's there's no need to win by that much,
right?
And then it also opens up a lot of kind of just nasty stuff to be said about kids that are in high school that I don't think is deserved. So it's always tough when you're not at the game and you're following along, and there's probably some ways this got the 91-0 that are just out of anybody's control, but it's tough to see that number.
Yeah, what I've noticed too in a couple of these, again, I think you're right that every game is sort of unique. Yeah. Every game is sort of, you have to see it and understand what happened. I think it was, and don't quote me, but I think last week, I believe that Twin Valley had 49 points in the second quarter.
Yeah.
So that's unavoidable.
Yeah, exactly.
That just means your competition's just not up to par. You're giving up pick sixes. You're giving up fumble recoveries for touchdowns and things like that. Mm-hmm. And it's not like we've known Brett Myers to run to not be a classy coach and do things like that. Joe Heaton the same way with Susquehanna Township. Yeah. So the games we're talking about, all these coaches that we have relationships with.
Yeah, and I don't want to say Coach Stoner and York High's that
right.
guy.
No, exactly. We're not saying that. It just sometimes it just does get out of hand.
Yeah.
In a hurry, and there's nothing really you can do.
And that's the debate. If you're a coach, do you kind of is there a point where you actively step in? And it's as someone who's not a coach, it's hard for me to tell another coach, is it your responsibility, or is it your responsibility to get your players to get players on the lower level of your depth chart out there and scoring touchdowns? Right. It's not the college football playoff where that kind of the margin of victory is helping you that much, right? It's not. It's
not. There's no style points.
Yeah, exactly.
They always say that in the college football, right? Yeah. Oh, it's not about style. No, it is about style points in college football. Yeah. It is. Yeah. In high school, no, it doesn't matter. The W's a W.
Yeah.
So, but I think you're right though that I like if you're up 42, 49 points, you're throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Then it's a problem. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that through the years. We have seen that over the last 5-6 years.
And that's where the argument that I'm trying to get my other players reps, I don't think that holds as much weight. Because if you're up,
Right.
it
doesn't.
If you're up that much in a game, what are those reps actually doing for you?
What are they doing for you?
Yeah,
right.
you're not playing
because chances are too the coach from the opposition has already inserted his guys.
Yeah.
To get them them reps.
Yeah.
In game time situations. One of the things that getting your quote unquote second level guys in too, or your reserves, if you will, I think it actually brings the team closer because you have the starters cheering for these guys because these guys work just as hard as the starters do and rarely get on the field. So when they get on the field and do something successful, no one's happier for them than the teammates.
Yep.
So they get a chance. So it's just a matter of when those guys get put into a game. And
I think it's interesting. I think your point's interesting too. That this is going to be an issue that I think is going to become more prevalent with how high-powered some of these top teams' offenses are.
Yes.
And I just think the disparity between some of these higher-end teams and lower-level teams are going to get bigger. The better the passing is, it's as simple as that. The better the passing is, the quicker the scoring's going to be, and the quicker the scoring's going to be, the bigger the blowouts are going to be.
And these quarterbacks now, even in the past 15, 20 years now, they've done exactly like you see college quarterbacks now. They're not a one-trick pony.
No.
They're athletic guys who are going to run, throw. It's a lot of RPO stuff now too. We saw a couple teams run pistol.
Yeah.
So they're running these college offenses and even these pro-style offenses now. And, and I can tell you there are coaches around the state who don't really care much for defense.
Yeah.
They put all their attention on the offensive side because they figure, listen, we win a 54-50 game, it doesn't matter, it's a dub. So I just, so I don't think we have a problem.
No.
So much. I know around the state there have been some really wild, loud scores. But again, I just think it's you tweak it game to game, and I don't know if I can name. Well, I wouldn't name them, but if I can name one or two coaches within District 3 that actively go out there and say we want to score 65 on these guys, and, and there's also the danger too. You put a guy out there, you're up 42-0. You put your starters back in. There's also a danger too. The other team gets a little ticked off and like, you know what? I'm going to dive at this guy's knees.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't want that. So I think it's a really sharp edge. You have to kind of walk.
And I also don't think there's anything like that they can do in the rule book to fix this kind of stuff. Like I think the running clock rule is totally fine.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if maybe the one solution, because it starts in the second half, correct?
Yeah, it has to be in the second half.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you could possibly. I think that would be kind of maybe a slippery slope because you wouldn't want a game, a game between two good teams that somehow flukily got the 35-0.
Right.
Which wouldn't happen often, but maybe even if it happened once, you would want to give a team a chance to get back in there in the second half. There's not much you can really do rule-wise to fix this kind of thing.
No, absolutely not. All right, Dan, let's do a quick check-in on Mid-Penn squads continue to be undefeated. We talked last week about 11 of them, or 12, I think. We had 11 or 12. We're down to 5 now. We had a couple matchups of undefeateds going against each other. Hannah West Perry was one of them that we talked about. Harrisburg 4-0, Redland 4-0, Lime Mountain continues to be 4-0, Steel High's 3-0. Remember they didn't play in week 1, and Susquehanna Township 4-0. Any surprises out of those 5?
No, I mean,
I don't really know. Is there maybe one surprise in there?
Every year, I think we've said this. Every year, it just feels like there's always one team that kind of bursts out of nowhere to be. I think a couple of years. I think my first or second year here, we had Boiling Springs get all the way to the district title game.
Yep.
Like there's always a team that you're never expecting to come out there and just be one of the very best teams in the area. And this year I think Redland has to be it, right? Because I think we all expected Jamie Thomas to do a good job in his first year at Redland because he's a smart guy who builds team whose concept of building a team we assumed is going to be through the trenches.
Through the trenches, right.
Which is how you're going to have to build a team to be good at Redland because just the numbers game. But I don't think any of us saw a 4-0 start. Is it the toughest schedule in the world? No, but is it the easiest schedule in the world? Also, no. I think it's been a well-earned 4-0 that I don't like. I think that if we had lined every game at the start of the year, I don't think we would have favored them in one game, to start this year.
I would not have.
Yeah. So, I think everyone's going to point to Quinlan Shear having a really good start to the year. Quarterback, he has. Tyson Kirchner has been really good running back, but their defense has also been very impressive too, and they've shown they can win a variety of ways. They won a shootout against Gettysburg. They won a grinded out game against Lower Dauphin.
Yep.
It's just been an impressive start. I don't know if they're gonna finish the year. They've still got some tough games left against Shippensburg, against Hershey. Some of these other Keystone games will be tough too. Mechanicsburg's, even after their loss, will be a tough one, but you have to just be kind of in awe of the job Jamie Thomas has done.
Yeah, he's ruined it for these college coaches who walk into a program and they go, listen, just give me $7 million a year, and by year 3, I will change the culture of this and we will be competitive.
Yeah.
He's done it in 4 games.
Yeah.
I mean, he really has. And again, we talked about getting that line up to speed. It seems like they are. They were in a grind out game with Waynesboro last week, and boom, they detonated. They win by 40 or whatever it was, close to 40.
And it's not like they have any transfers from schools either. They're just he literally took who they had and flipped everything around.
And it seems too, because you've looked at, and again, I have not covered them in person yet. I've only seen film on them, and obviously ripped through box scores and things like that. But that short term memory kind of thing. They're making mistakes. There's a lot of mistakes in the box score, but it doesn't matter. They're coming right back, making plays, and that's all you could ask of a group that's, really just sort of, I mean, no one, you're right, no one expected them to be 4-0 at this point. No one.
No.
I don't even know if Coach Thomas expected them to be 4-0.
If you gave him true serum, there's no way.
No, probably not.
Because it's hard. I mean, it's just hard to go 4-0. Hence, there only being 5 teams that are 4-0, and one of them is the top 2 team in the state.
In the state, right.
Harrisburg's the interesting one to me, though, because they are 4-0, and they have been tested, which I think is a dangerous combination. Like, that they have been tested in 3 games already, which is to kind of not usually, but I feel like often Harrisburg kind of is one of those teams that kind of takes those early games, and if they lose, they correct those mistakes.
Right.
It kind of feels like this year they are ahead of the curve a little bit, and they are winning those close games, making the right plays at the right time. The State College game, I don't think any of these Commonwealth teams want to go up to State College anymore. If they do,
I wouldn't.
If they do, bet the over right between them and McDevitt.
Well, that's the thing. Like we talk so much about, now again, they've played 8+ quarters without Messiah Mickens.
Yeah.
Okay, but we talk so much about Harrisburg's defense. So I think if you're Coach Everett, I think you're a little concerned that State College put that kind of number up on you.
Yeah.
But
they were also 14 points in the fourth quarter, and then stuff kind of snowballed.
But they were also, you could also look at that. We're behind the 8 ball here, and boom, he keeps using the word resilient. That's a perfect word to describe it. These guys have won in multiple ways.
Yeah.
And it truly is next man up. Yeah. Because any one of those guys between Koch and Brown and Trace Walker, and obviously Jayon Lewis is just
electric.
Jayon Lewis just shows up, man. Like it doesn't matter where you put this guy, Like, if Shank got a helmet malfunction, I feel like Jayon Lewis would go under center and throw a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And then come out and go, all right, get back in there, you know? Like, he's just that kind of player.
Yeah.
He's just a big game
player. I was
player.
talking to someone that said he might actually be one of, if you're going pure athlete, he might be one of the best athletes in the Mid-Penn.
I would argue for him. Yeah. I mean, like we've talked when we were doing some of those lists, and I was doing my favorite players. Jalen Fitzpatrick was a name that constantly came up. Now but there's similar body types between him and Jayon Lewis. Now, I'm not saying Jayon Lewis is not smart, but Jalen Fitzpatrick was one of the smartest players that I've ever been around.
Yeah.
That's why he had such a great connection with Coach Chomp. Coach Chomp, he probably learned a bunch of football stuff from Jalen.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, and that's saying a hell of a lot considering Chomp's resume. So, Jalen Lewis is just like, all right, just put me in and I'll make plays for you. Like it's just like a no-brainer for the kid.
Turn around and be, he's going to turn around and be one of Harrisburg's best basketball players.
Exactly. Which shows you what kind of athlete he is. Line Mountain, I think we expected right where they're at. I mean, they are cooking. I didn't expect Max Johnson to have that much success running the football.
Yeah, I mean,
But if you think about it, having a 6'4" dude,
he's sneakily been one of the best players in the Mid-Penn that no one really talks about for his entire career, pretty much.
It's just the distance.
Yeah,
it's the distance. Being up in Mandato, you're an hour away, and it's like it's sort of the same thing. When you get hammers to it at places like Greencastle and Waynesboro, the Mid-Penn proper, in the Metroplex. Sort of focuses on, and we're to blame too because, Bishop McDevitt's been so good. Harrisburg's been so good. Cumberland Valley and CD have had tremendous years. But, these teams are the ones fighting for sort of respect. And quite honestly, too, they had been not buried, but they had been in the Tri-Valley League for eons. So, and there wasn't quite sure we were going to take Mid-Penn. I say we, but Mid-Penn was going to take them in. So, but they've been a great addition and obviously a great football team. Brandon Carson does a great job. I know he's pissed that, they're ranked 4th now in 1A. I pulled them up two spots again just because they're humming. He doesn't like that at all. He would rather be behind the curtain.
Oh, you're saying I thought you were saying he was mad that they were.
No. He's not physical. You know what I mean? He's not going to yell at me.
Yeah.
But he, behind the scenes, he's like, listen, let us be quiet. Let's be under the radar. So I know he doesn't like that. I'm sorry, Coach. That's my fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, they pulled him up to 4th this week in the 1A rankings. And of course, Steel High. Steel High's got obviously their toughest test right now is Hannah,
the other team,
on a Thursday night special. So one of those teams will not be undefeated after Thursday night. But yeah, it's been a great run for those 5 squads, and obviously, we've seen some good football at times. But I think overall, the first 4 weeks of the Mid-Penn season has been a little
uneven,
a little tattered. Yeah, for lack of a better word. I just think it's
hard to get the way I describe it. It's kind of hard to get a grasp on much of the layout of the land besides, the obvious, like the things that we knew going into the year, which is that Harrisburg's one of the best teams in the state. McDevitt's even with their record, McDevitt's one of the best teams in the state. And that Hannah was going to be a 4A player. I think besides that, there's a lot up in the air. Like
You're right. Beyond that, I don't
know how to determine who's better between Big Spring and East Pennsboro teams. Like if we were to rank every team, like there's so many teams kind of in that zone where they've had some really good wins, and now we have to see we're kind of approaching the sample size we need to kind of really determine what's going on.
I'll be honest with you. I think it's going to take 10 weeks
to
determine it. It's going to be determined for us, really. I mean, we can guess all we want, but there's a lot of 3-1 teams out there. I think that just if I had to throw an identity at them, 80% I probably couldn't do it. Right now, and that's the kind of season it's been. All right, couple of games you want to touch on real quick before we get out of here, Dan. Week 5, I cannot believe it's the midpoint of the season, week 5.
It gets faster every year. It's
crazy. But I think you have to point to Cumberland or Central Dauphin at Cumberland Valley as being the marquee matchup for very different reasons than most would have expected. I think Central Dauphin 2-2, Cumberland Valley 1-3. Cumberland Valley now after the loss to State College. Again, it's a Commonwealth schedule. We always talk about 5-5 likely gets you in, but I think this is, I don't want to say it's must win, but I think it's must win for Cumberland Valley. I really do. Playing at home, Chapman Field, Friday night, 7 o'clock. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, it's must win. It's must win because of the context of the schedule. Right?
Yes.
And yes, they beat Harrisburg last year. It's always hard to pencil in a win against Harrisburg, and it's hard to pencil in a win against Bishop McDevitt. So you think you need 5 wins at least to get in the playoffs. You got to start picking out now. It's just tough because I picked Cumberland Valley North picks to cover last week because I don't think they're like. I think some of these results have not been great for them, but I think that they're a team that is going to be able to stay in almost any game they're in because their defense has just been so.
It's been good, really good.
It's been so effective this year. The offense is just what hasn't been able to click into any real consistent gear. There have been flashes. Cam Wolf is a mobile quarterback who can make some big plays. He's connected with Zayden Smith on a bunch of deep passes, deep touchdowns. Elijah Sherman's electric. Brody Pines is a really reliable target there too. But I think we both kind of agree. Our analysis is that the run game just has not got going, and it's been that case for 2 years now. The last year, Brody Pines was playing out of position. He's a wide receiver that was playing running back because his team needed him to, and they just couldn't consistently run the ball. And this year, they've got a sophomore in Rocket Bushman starting at running back, and he's had some moments, but the consistency in that area has not been there, and it's hard. It's just hard to win football games if you can't get the run game going at all.
Yeah, I mean that's really been Central Dolphins' bugaboo, really.
Yeah.
The last couple of years too, and how they've been down. But now you're starting to see. I mean, Mark Liebel's obviously an athletic quarterback. He's almost at 5 yards a carry. Mm-hmm. When you can't be, they don't have a sort of a big display of wide receivers. Mm-hmm. They have targets. Don't get me wrong, Central Dolphin, but the athletic quarterback like Lebo can make things happen with his legs. Obviously, you have Kamara Garcia has been coming along. I think he's 4.5 yards. That's Central Dolphin, and to me, that tells me, the offensive line, which was just so raw and new last year, is coming together. Yep. It's starting to make yes, okay. You're going to say, oh well, they beat Altoona. Well, Altoona just beat Cumberland Valley.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on Altoona. So I think it's a good sign that Central Dauphin comes in here with sort of a wave of momentum and winning 2 straight. But you're right, Cumberland Valley to me it doesn't compute to me, especially when you have a guy like Big Oak up front along that offensive line. This is a team that should have somebody averaging 5-6 yards a carry, in my opinion. Whether it's Cam Wolf or whether it's Colton Stamey under center. Or whether it's Bushman, one of these guys. But to me, it's just if you don't have that, you already have a sort of inconsistent passing game.
Yeah.
So when you can't lean on the run game, what else is there?
Yeah.
It's just staggered. Mm-hmm. You're just hoping to pray. Like, okay, well, maybe this play gets 8 yards and we set up a short third down. Like I think it's just they've moved the ball at times and then shot themselves in the foot, or they just got behind the 8 ball and had to change their sort of game plan.
And Cumberland Valley also
it's been all different angles.
They had a nice turnaround at the end of last year too, but it's like you can't keep banking on these late season turnarounds when you're losing an opener like Harrisburg has every few years when they're playing these stuff. When you're down 0-1 or whatever, it's one thing. You can't keep compiling these 2 to 3 losses early in the Commonwealth and just banking on fighting back, and they all know that. I think all those kids, I think they have the right attitude. It's not because again, they went up to State College and were in that game.
They were in that game
for the whole game. It's not like there's some team that's super far away, but it's a team that can't separate in these games early. And they rely on the defense to kind of keep them in these games. And that's just, as we were talking about earlier, it's a tough formula to consistently win games against these higher levels.
It's a very tough existence when you're leaning constantly on your defense. And it's okay for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But when you're constantly putting that pressure on your defense, sooner or later the defense is going to break.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're sitting there 1-5 and you got no hope. Yeah. You got no chance. So, but again, I think this is probably a very competitive football game. Mm-hmm. I think Cumberland Valley has a great chance to shoot back and get a W here, which they desperately need. I think just for their psyche moving forward, you don't want the guys to get frustrated now. They've lost to good teams, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I just think this is going to be probably the best game that we see in the Mid-Penn, and I think we hand out the PennLive Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Are we handing it out? Didn't Cumberland Valley win it?
I
think we might.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, check.
I believe it was Cumberland Valley.
Somebody sent me a text. I didn't read the whole
I
text.
believe it was Cumberland Valley.
Yeah, I think we may
soccer.
be handing them out to the Eagles.
Yep.
Anyway, okay, couple other marquee matchups we'll just name here. Like we said, special Thursday night game. Steel High at Susquehanna Township. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
Undefeated, 7-0 combined.
Yeah, Susquehanna Township. They've played the way we wanted them to play this.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
we're just. It's almost like you don't want to touch the china.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just too pretty right now.
Yeah,
Don't touch it. Get it in the whole shelf comes
Torrin
down.
Evans looks like the best quarterback in the Mid-Penn right now, I think. So
He's just in command.
Yeah.
He just looks like he's totally
he had
in
160
command.
rushing yards against West Perry too.
Yeah, well, that's ridiculous. That's superhuman. And Hershey at Lower Dauphin. Two teams. Obviously, if you didn't catch Lower Dauphin's 22-21 win over Mechanicsburg, you missed a doozy.
Yeah.
So that's that, and obviously them going up now against Camp Sweeney. That defense for Lower Dauphin has been pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And they're finding ways to win.
Those games are always tough. The Hershey LD games are always back and forth.
Yeah, that triangle in a bunch of different sports is crazy.
Yeah.
And you count Palmyra in the triangle.
Yeah.
That's a triangle.
Yeah.
And
I did do.
between field hockey and soccer and football and everything, there's a lot of grit going on in there.
Yeah, but we were talking about Jayon Lewis. I think Cam Sweeney might have a claim to being the best. Maybe the best athlete in the area. Right, like he is so.
Yeah, he's dynamic.
Yeah, and that's going to be a challenge for that lower. I'm excited to watch. I imagine if I'm Josh Borelli, I'm telling Hunter Strom, you are spying Cam Sweeney every single play. Your job is basically tracking this kid and basically don't worry about anything else. Worry about Cam Sweeney. Now, there's probably more intricacy than that. But if I was my dumb idiot brain was a football coach, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think when you clash those, I'll put them in a different sport. If there was a play at the plate, and Strom is obviously behind the plate, he's a Mississippi State baseball commit, by the way, for those who don't know, and Cam was coming in. Cam would try to jump over him.
Yeah.
that would be the perfect analogy there.
Yeah.
Perfect example of those two guys going at it.
Yeah.
Because you would not want to run into Hunter Strom at home plate.
No.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and he's had a terrific year in football.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
He has. Good thing he came back. Remember, we were talking about whether he's going to come back or not.
I don't think it was ever going to be his decision not to come back. I think
probably not.
I think the uncertainty was more, if my coach tells me not to play, I won't play. But
right.
Because he seems like a football player. Because the games I've covered him playing this year does not look like he's taken anything easy. He is playing physical and fast. So.
Well, Coach Kenny Kalina is hoping he makes it through all safe and sound. I can tell you that much. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the PA High School Football Report. For Dan Sosik, I'm Eric Epler. Thanks to OSS Health, our sponsor. Thanks to Merlin, Megan Levy-Heedy for taking care of all this stuff. What'd I say?
It's called her Heedy.
Well, that's all right. I started with a gaff. I'm going to end with a gaff.
There we go.
I didn't throw the end on.
Megan laid it.
Listen, I told you. Listen, I told you I'm not feeling well. Give me a break. That'll do it. Come back next week.
Yeah.
I'm not editing that either.